Want me to knit you a new one?
I think somebody stole it. Knit me?
This is the fourth.
Yes.
Crochet, needle
catch-all.
That's Robert. Basically, you gotta follow the process.
Did you make 2 extra copies of this? Oh, they have this in front of them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they just,
Email it or something?
So budget committee?
It's
Yes.
Tuesdays
I
and
don't think
Thursdays.
anybody else got it.
Every Monday.
Even the second one? Because this one I didn't.
One
The
store.
one that was sent right after the meeting.
Yeah, that's the one I said, maybe you read it, but nobody else did.
It's good for
Well,
people, they can use it.
I did.
Is that a surprise?
No,
It's-
no. That's why I asked.
Okay.
I don't want to get it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and thank
A
you.
lot of people go in there and
Process
they're
it.
taking everything. That's not good.
no. No, that's
No,
not.
Shay,
No, that's right.
Keep hearing. But man, this is the way we've always
I
done
can't
it.
eat healthy.
Yes.
Diabetes. Okay, thank you. It's 3:30. I'm going to call the meeting to order. Roll call. Brian?
Here.
Kyle? Here. And Smith is present. I'm going to open up to the first public input today.
No pledge?
Oh, sorry. Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Thank you, Kyle. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, now the first public input. Dallas, you need a chair? You have one.
No, I'm good.
Give him that chair over there. You shouldn't have to stand.
Where are you gonna sit?
Yep, just state your name, please.
So I'm Brad Marion, and I have a handout. I've only made 4 copies of it, so if you need more, you have to make them. There's 3.
Oh, basketball.
So I'm here to talk about some suggestions for things that we could do at the transfer station, mostly to do with recycling. My wife and I, Dawn, and I are on the Conservation Commission, and we brought up this some of these ideas with them in our last meeting. And first of all, I'd like to start off with talking about these points that are on the back side of each sheet, if you have one in front of you. And TJ Eldridge has done a great job managing the transfer station. I've been really impressed with his knowledge. He's been very helpful with me getting started on this analysis that I'm doing. The facility is neat, as everybody can see when you go to the dump, and they do manage a lot of material through there. He accesses and makes good use of market prices to determine timing and vendors. I guess they just sold a whole bunch of aluminum at almost a record price. And you're conscientious in trying to save the town and taxpayers money, and continues to try to improve the facility. So a few years ago, I was going to the dump one afternoon, and I noticed that we can no longer bring certain waste streams like plastic and paper, newspaper. And I started, we used to take one bag of garbage a week to the dump. It really increased the volume of what we took to the dump, and I thought, how can this make sense? And, I talked to people, I think I talked to You at a point in time about it. And I understood that, it was costing you to take money away, and that you weren't convinced that product, once it got hauled away, was recycled anyways. However, I did look at this study that you did, Mr. Sawyer and Mr. Eldridge did in October of 2020, and they said that they would like to, the proposal was to get rid of all the waste, all the recycling from the dump, to be save on manpower, baling costs, etc. And that isn't what happened. You did get rid of, you did reduce the staff there by, I think, one person, and you're using part-time people, which saves the town a lot of money for benefits and so on. Since then you've bought two balers, two large balers, one of the large balers, okay. And so you have basically a baler dedicated to each waste stream that you're dealing with, which is a very efficient way of doing it. But my point is that when I look at the study that you did in 2020, and when I look at the study that, when I looked at the costs and everything that he gave me, which is reflected on this spreadsheet on the back side of it, it still costs more, since the plastic and the paper winds up going into the municipal waste, to get that hauled away than it would be to pay to have the plastic hauled away. So it looks like you save money because you don't have to pay somebody to haul away the plastic or the paper. But nevertheless, where it's going in the municipal waste is going to be landfilled. Plastic doesn't break down very well in landfill situations. The paper probably does okay. But
I'm just giving, you got 1 minute, just, because we have 5 minutes per speaker, so you have 1 minute left.
Okay. So if you have a chance to look, you'll see that I think that you could make money by not putting it into the municipal waste stream, and you could it would mean that you'd have to have an additional 4 bales per week. I'd also like to stress that you can find people who do recycle plastic. You may not get much for it. You may actually have to pay to have it hauled away, but many of the other towns around here are doing that. And there is a state program where they, it's kind of like the people that haul away the waste have to report back to you on where it wound up going.
Okay, you hit your 5 minutes, sir.
I'd like a motion to add just 2 minutes. He put a lot of work into this.
Okay, you want to add 2 minutes? You want to second that motion?
I'll second, sure.
All those in favor?
All right.
So if you're talking about saving the town money, another way to do it would be, this is point number 5 here, would be to increase the scale fees for the construction waste. Because other towns around here charge more, particularly Wolfboro, which charges more for everything, than you do right now. You're giving people a bargain. That's like a very large part of your waste stream. And you could generate, by just going up 2 cents a pound on the material that's brought there, you could save yourself another $20,000. So if you're looking just to save money, there's other ways of doing it besides not doing the recycling. And there are other ways to recycle plastics other than just putting them into number 1 through 7. I know that it's a little bit more work involved, but even if you saved only the clear plastic and only the PET bottles and the milk bottles, for example, and the water bottles, you could probably sell that product because that's the most desirable of all the plastic waste that goes to the dump. But as far as the Conservation Commission goes, the biggest thing about reducing about recycling is that you want to reduce the amount that's coming to the dump in the first place. And that's where I think the Conservation Commission has a role to play, because we could put up signage, we could do a program.
Can I just interrupt you for 1 second? Are you speaking on behalf of the Conservation, or are you speaking as an individual?
I told them at the Conservation Commission, we discussed this, and I said I would be presenting it to you tonight.
So they gave you authorization to speak on behalf of the Conservation Commission?
Mhm.
Okay, I'm just making sure. Go ahead, thank you. You got 15 seconds.
So we could we could have programs that would help reduce the amount of material that's coming, especially the plastics, but also all the other waste streams, like, for example, 1/3 of people's food waste goes...
Time's up.
1/3 of people's food waste, I'll finish my sentence.
Okay,
1/3
you
of
can
people's
finish, but
food
we have to
waste
move on.
goes into the trash. So if we were to, encourage people, to educate people better, the town should have a program to reduce, not just to try to make, not just to recycle.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate your effort you put into this, thank you. Any other public input? Go ahead, Chris.
Chris Elliott.
Yep.
I know we don't, along these lines, I know we don't collect hazardous waste anymore, is that correct?
No,
Where would you recommend somebody in town take hazardous waste?
I don't know. We were hosting Hazardous Waste Day repetitively every year.
Sure.
It cost the town about $5,000 to just host it. But then we had to pay the $5,700 on top of that
Sure.
to join the program. Excuse me. When I talked to the board and said, the other towns that are using it aren't kicking into the $5,000 because we have to rent a dumpster, we have to buy them lunch. I have to pay overtime for all the guys down back because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's usually on a Saturday every time.
Sure.
The towns didn't want to do that. So when we said we weren't going to host it again, the spot that was talked about was Plymouth. Well, the amount of people that would go from Ossipee to Plymouth, I think, would be minute. So in my opinion, you're taking $5,700 and throwing it in the trash. We could always do it, but we're doing, the amount of vehicles that come through from Ossipee was equal to some of the other towns, and we're footing that bill.
Yeah.
So, as far as hazardous waste, you can call DES is what we tell everybody and ask them where to go with it. But as far as doing the hazardous waste day, that's up to the voters on that. And,
TJ, do other neighboring towns do hazardous waste? Does Freedom do it? Cape Cod?
Effingham did it 1 year and then no one else hosted it.
So it's done through the county...
Lakes Region Planning.
Lakes Region Planning.
Okay.
And to TJ's point, we asked, or TJ did at the time, for everyone to split that financial responsibility, and the answer was no.
I mean, the only thing I could think of, and again, this isn't the answer maybe, that you join with 5 or 6 other towns and you have it on a rotating basis. One year it's Effingham, one town it's Freedom, one year
It's hard to work that way because you've got to have the facility to do it.
Yeah.
They did it at the school in Effingham. Well, they figured that wasn't real smart to bring
No, I agree.
hazardous waste to the school. The other thing is that we did, that we kind of played, it was kind of a game to me, they were playing a game with us, is they have a donation jar that they put out. And the donations were up to $700 or $800 for everybody going through, giving some money. Well, I said we should take that and put that toward our dumpster that we have to buy.
Yeah.
But when we did that, I mean, put that toward the pizza, the
cost.
overtime.
Sure.
When we did that, they made us pay for the dumpster. So it was like a game getting played. And to me, if you're not organized to set something up and have something for a close proximity to Ossipee, why should we join?
I don't think we're opposed to it, I think it's the financial, the cost should be shared amongst all the towns that participate.
Right.
And we couldn't get any cooperation on that.
I understand, but it's sort of a, what do you do with all this paint and stuff?
Yeah.
It's just sitting there.
Well, the paint thing, we've gone long enough in society where the paint is just usually a water-based paint now. So to bring it to the transfer station, all you have to do is open the top of it,
Let it
put
dry
kitty
out.
litter in it or something, speedy dry, let it harden and you can throw it away. So the paint thing's really, it's more of your old lead paint, that kind of stuff.
Turpentine and
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I support the idea of town investigating something to do with at least plastics. Because the plastics are only increasing in our usage, and to see that go into the landfill and the waste, be quite honest with you, we take our plastics down to my daughter-in-law's home in Connecticut,
Yeah.
because Connecticut will take it.
No, we,
Can I just say something on
Go ahead.
that? So, doing your, I do this every day, and doing your plastics and doing your paper might make you feel good, but it's not going where you think it's going.
right,
Well,
And I don't get a chain of custody anymore. I used to, but you don't get it anymore.
yeah,
The other thing with plastics is you just, what's that?
hold on, sir, let him just finish.
So the other thing is you talked about that I can work the market with the aluminum. The aluminum's where the money is. That's the only thing we get money for.
yeah.
And we do sometimes cardboard, but it's not much. I can't work the market if you do 1 to 7 plastics and mixed paper, because we don't have the storage facility for it. You need a giant building to store all that. But if mixed paper and plastics get wet, it's contaminated and you throw it away anyway.
Yeah.
So where I have the room for the cardboard and the aluminum that I can store outside, I can run that market. But if we started recycling again, which a minute amount of people, just probably few in this room and then not many more actually recycle. You take 2 years to get 1 load of plastic, so not a lot of people are doing it. But if you did that, I wouldn't be able to work the market because I'd have to sell when we're full, or we'd contaminate the whole load. So you'd need to have several more containers. That cost goes up. It's $5,000 for baling wire and gripples. So everyone likes to see, oh, you got the money here, but you didn't see what you spent to get that money. So I think it's awesome what he wants to do to try to stop it on the front. I mean, I had the same conversation with you. When you buy a toy off Amazon this big, it comes in a box this big. It's not the fight that Ossipee can take on unless you want to take it with your wallet, because that's where you're going to take it. Because recycling costs you money. There's no other way to deny it. You can't deny it. We had $300,000 in hauling and dumping fees when I started. We're down to 170 right now. You can't argue that. Wolfboro, look at their budget. Look at ours. We go through more material than they do. So it's, you can't argue it. We're the only transfer station around that goes at the price we do and uses the same amount of products we do. If anyone here comes and watches how they work over there, it's the most efficient way you can get rid of trash. But the town of Ossipee trying to fight this plastics pandemic is not, it's not gonna work. We don't get enough. We don't produce enough.
I'll talk off session another time.
Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dan.
Damon Steer, Congressman. Question for TJ. I've heard around about somewhere that you can't put dog waste in a transfer station. Does Ossipee have a rule on dog waste?
That's a good question, never heard
I
that.
don't know. If it's in a bag, I don't know how we know. But
Yeah, I don't know how you would know.
Or
if it's out of that.
does it become a problem for the transfer station?
No. There's so much nasty stuff that goes in there.
Yep. Go ahead, Chris, again.
Well, as one who often carries the dog waste from the dog park over here,
Yeah.
about half of our population is from Effingham or Freedom, and I've been told by Effingham people that Effingham will not collect what it was said here
Interesting.
about the dog waste. So,
Good, interesting. Are they sniffing the bags?
I don't know, it's an excuse, they just don't want to pick it up, and they're happy to have me or somebody else in town do it, but
There's a guy who actually makes his money picking up dog waste, and he volunteers, God bless him, like to pick up dog waste in Conway and there's places in Bridgeton. Maybe he'll do Constitution Park someday, but he said that dog waste is actually some kind of biohazard and it shouldn't go in the trash, and that's where it came from.
What does he do with it?
He has a disposal method. I haven't followed up to get more details, but apparently he has some sort of license to dispose of it.
Great. Any other public input? Case, oh, go ahead.
In reference to the hazardous waste, about 2-3 years ago, LRPC showed up at the county and wanted to do a more central location for that. But because of the condition of the parking lot in the annex area, they didn't feel it was a very good place to do it. So you may want to approach them again, or have LRPC approach them again to see if they'll have it. It's a more local, central location. And it's kind of more set up. It's not a school. It's not.
great idea.
Good one, thank you. Case, no further public input, we're gonna go on to regular business. So I have, you guys have in front of you the budget sheet that we approved going back quite a few meetings. This Wednesday, the Budget Committee is going to be voting and approving on the final budget. I talked to TJ, we had a warrant article in there to get a new building and zoning truck, because the truck's 10 years old, it has rust, it's got a miss, the miss comes and goes, but I think, and I talked to TJ and talked to the mechanic, putting that off for another year, squeezing another year out of that zoning truck, which will reduce the overall budget by 45,000 of us, correct? And then we can do that next year. I don't know if the board agrees with that. If it does, these are the new bottom line numbers you see in front of you. It would reduce the overall budget increase from, what was it, 2.5% down to 1.7. So we're looking at a 1.7% overall increase in this year's operating budget. You gotta remember, that's without the schools out warrant article, which will probably be coming, and that's usually about 45,000. So that actually will take up for the zoning truck we just removed. I drive the zoning truck. I like old beaters. I think it works. I don't think we need to jump on a new truck yet. That's my opinion.
I agree.
I think we
As long
can-
as our zoning officer is okay with it, I'd say that's okay with me.
I have heat, I have air conditioning, and I got windshield wipers, so. You guys object to that?
No,
No?
I need a motion.
Yep, so I'm just gonna do one overall motion. I'm gonna make a motion to amend the warrant articles that were submitted to the Budget Committee, removing the zoning truck for a new amount of $1,210,000 even. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And the new bottom line, let me see, is,
$9,602,111.
so I'll motion to approve that amount. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. That's a 1.7% increase. I think that's an incredible budget based on all the inflation we've been getting crushed with in the town. So, that's all the hard work of TJ, Matt, and the board. So the first document I have here, this is for the TAN note. This is the first time we've had to use the TAN note in 6 years. I'm gonna just give a quick, Matt put a notice on the town web giving an explanation as to why. So this is for the viewers or people who don't understand. We have 3 separate village districts. They are their own municipalities, they are their own government, they have their own commissioners, they have their own elections. They are not part of town government. West Ossipee made a boo-boo last year when they did their annual meeting and they didn't post it properly. So due to that fact, we can't set the tax rate. We can't set the tax rate until we get the fire precincts approved, or village districts, the school, and what was the other one wait on?
That's it.
That's it. Once we get those, we do our calculations with DRA, we set the tax rate, the bills go out. Due to the bills having to go out probably a month, I would guess a month late at least. At least. Obviously, cash flow is an issue. We've been able to avoid the TAN note for 6 years now. They used to borrow twice a year when I was deputy treasurer back. They used to borrow like April, May, and then again September, October. We haven't done that in years because of good cash flow and good monetary policy. So we have the TAN note documents. This is gonna cost us, this is why I also advocated town meeting not to cut the TAN note line like the budget committee did and town meeting did last year. They cut it to 10,000 because this interest could accrue to about 13,000 a month for every month that it has to be carried. So it's unfortunate, it's gonna cost the taxpayers money. Technically, we could withhold payments from the fire, from the village districts because of this, because the RSA says when you collect the money, you relinquish it. But if we don't collect it, we don't have to relinquish it. The only ones who are legally obligated to pay on time is the school. The county, we can actually pay late, but we'd have to pay interest to the county if we pay late, because the county can borrow on a TAN note. Village districts can borrow on a TAN note, the county borrows on a TAN note, school districts are not allowed by RSA to borrow on a TAN note. That's why we have to pay them on time, regardless whether or not we collect it. So here we are with the TAN note. I'm just gonna read this and then make a motion to approve it. That the Select Board of the Town of Ossipee authorize the Town Administrator to arrange with the Bank of New Hampshire for the issuance and sale of a tax anticipation note of the town for fiscal year 2025 in the principal amount of $3,240,000 at the per annum rate of 4.875% on a drawdown basis and on such other terms as the Town Administrator in his discretion may approve, and any prior such arraignment is ratified and confirmed. I'll make a motion to approve that.
I have a question first.
Someone second, and then we'll have a discussion.
I'll second.
You'll second, go ahead.
Good discussion.
This is my first experience with the TAM note process.
Yeah.
In the situation where a mistake was made by an individual fire precinct, is there any recourse for them to cover the interest cost rather than the taxpayers?
Great question. Matt and I talked about, there's no legal basis other than suing them or asking for it. There's nothing in RSA that says they're responsible to pay it.
It's just unfortunate for the taxpayers.
Right. Right.
One of the issues with having so many individual fire precincts.
Correct. I agree, one day they need to become one. That needs to happen. But that would take a 2/3 vote in each village district. Not a simple majority. So, all those in favor?
I just had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian, still in
so
discussion.
how long would the process be to petition to use some of that unassigned fund balance?
So unassigned fund balance is not a separate bank account. Unassigned fund balance is basic difference between your assets and liabilities. It's your cash flow. We're using that now. That's what we're using. We're using the money that's within the bank, that's sitting there. But
Right.
the reason why we haven't been borrowing is because we have a middle ground unassigned fund balance of about 11%. I would love to grow it out to 17%. If we were at 17%, we probably wouldn't have to borrow now. We probably could weather this. But because we're at 11, we have to weather it. They used to be 3-4%. That's why they borrowed twice a year. They were always cash flow short, and then they were expending large amounts of money of interest on the TAN bill.
So we're gonna need $2 million.
We're borrowing $3.2 million. What we're gonna actually need will determine how quick the bills get out. And how quick everyone has 30 days to pay from when their bills
Right.
process.
So it could be February.
Could be.
Start getting money.
Could be. Yeah.
Okay. And to complete your motion, I'm in favor.
Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Go ahead, Chris, I'll let you ask a question.
Just a question?
Yeah.
Every dog gets one bite, how do we make sure we don't get a second bite down the road? How do we make sure this doesn't happen again? Is there a way to make sure the precincts follow the protocols and reminders that they should be doing this, or whatever was over?
Yeah, I mean, that's up to their voters to hold their people accountable to make sure they follow the process. And we have no authority or control over the village district, so.
But will that particular precinct, those people be aware of what happened?
Oh, yeah, no, they are aware,
So
sure.
that they will make sure that it doesn't happen again?
No, they are aware. You guys got to sign and initial a bunch of spots.
Is there any way that we could build something in where we do a reminder every year to make sure that whatever was missed is...
They got a lot of reminders from DRA.
Yes, DRA was on top of their reminders, so that's a great question point, but they were on top of it. So, and I don't think the solution is to withhold money from the village districts, because ultimately, that's just gonna make a bigger mess. I think the best resolution is to get the TAN note and move forward. We still gotta pay the school regardless, and that is the big one. The school is the big amount of money, so.
Again, we have no real authority over them, but if I can become aware of the situation earlier, DRA never notified us that this was going on. Once I became aware of it, I was able to get a hold of them, whereas Michelle said she couldn't get a response from them for 6 months or whatever. So if I had known, again, I didn't know communication-wise what happened, but
Okay.
and it helps that if I had known at the beginning of budget season, we could have put some pressure on kind of politically, and unfortunately DRA doesn't notify the towns about the village district. But it's the...
Okay, I'm gonna go on to, this is a police department safety grant requested by the chief. I'm just gonna go through what each one is. And I should go through it once I can get to those pages. First one is gonna be for speed enforcement. Next one is gonna be for DUI enforcement. Next one's for distracted driving enforcement. Next one is seatbelt mobilization enforcement. Another one says impaired driving mobilization.
Can you go down and have them stop playing? It's not like a rec program, it's just people came in, right?
And then routine enforcement patrols.
About to. Seriously, ripping the backboards off.
Celtics are practicing downstairs.
This amount is, it's an 80-20, 13,300 on the grant, match required 33,325. I motion to approve this.
Second.
Any discussion on it? No? All those in favor? Aye. There's a lot of signature spots on this. We just did the grant, chief, I don't know if you heard. Enforcement grant?
Actually, I got one question. What is the total amount, Chief?
I think 15,000?
It's 13,300 federal and matching 33 or,
Something like that.
yeah, so it's around 15. What do they do with the notes here? This is the library grant that they applied for way back. It was for some artwork, historical artwork restoration. They were awarded it in the amount of $2,200. That goes through the DNCR, Department of Natural Cultural Resources, i.e. the state library. So that we just have to process. So I make a motion to authorize Matt Sawyer to process this grant on behalf of the library in the amount of $2,200. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. I have a water sewer warrant in the amount of $40. It's just to turn the water off, 41 Door Street, and the other one is, I have three of them, I'm sorry. $86. These are for buyer and seller fees, 30 Doors Corner. And the next one is $80, turn the water off, 230 Moltenville Road, 94 Route 16B, motion to approve these.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. You gotta sign those too. You wanna just put it all back in the red folder? You wanna do
Yeah,
that?
please.
Just keep it together? You gotta sign a lot there. I got a request for a clerical abatement, 110 Nichols Road. That's a camper in Westwood Shores. There's no features on the site. Camper is registered. Assessor recommends we approve it, the amount of $19. Motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I got a notice of intent to cut wood or timber, the taxes are paid. Map 201, lot 3 and 4, map 204, lot 4, map 207, lot 7 and 5. Motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I have a cemetery deed from the cemetery trustees. This is for Chickville Cemetery, lot 157, plots A and B. I will motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I have this is from the Conservation Commission. They're looking to appoint Christine Beverly of 58 Ossipee Mountain Road as an alternate for a 3-year term. I make a motion to approve this.
Second.
Any discussion or questions on this? It's pretty straightforward. They nominate, we appoint. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Do you want to take that? Yeah. You don't need to initial it. I have the meeting minutes from Monday, November 3rd for the Board of Selectmen, 2025. A motion to approve these.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
I have a abatement application for 56 Moltenville Road. This is for a meter horn leak. The amount is $378.98. It's map 91, lot 59. It was recommended to be approved because that's our liability, correct? That's our responsibility. So I'll motion to approve this.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
I have another abatement application. This is from 16 Folsom Road, Center Ossipee Fire Precinct. This was due to a late payment. It's in the amount of $30. So I went down and talked to the town clerk. Basically, what I was told is the fire precinct had a question on the bill, and they held the bill too long before they came and asked the clerk, so the bill ended up being late. We get this all the time from customers saying that the bill's late, and they always want an abatement, but we've never awarded it, because late bills are the responsibility of the person on the system. They're required to pay it on time. So in a matter of fairness, to treat the precinct or the village district the same as every other customer on the system, I think it should be denied, based on what I was told. So, a motion to deny this abatement in the amount of $30. Any more discussion? No more discussion? All those in favor? Aye. We'll save it for public input. Okay, thank you. Okay, this is, so we have to I guess we have to, due to state law changes on the veterans tax credit requirements. I'm not gonna get into all the things that changed, because it was a lot. In order to make the veterans that are currently getting it whole, we need to re-adopt a new amount. And that amount they currently get is $2,500 tax credit. So disabled veterans currently get a $2,500 tax credit on their local property tax bill. I'm in favor of keeping it at the $2,500. I want to keep them whole. I don't want to take it, because if we don't do this, they're going to lose what they've already received for the last several years. It's, again, this is because state legislation changed. They cleaned it up to ensure it's more accountable and clear, so there's no duplication. So I'm in favor of keeping it to $2,500, which they currently get. So I'll motion to approve the $2,500 that the veterans currently get through the tax credit program.
Just to be clear, you're motioning to put this on the warrant.
Correct, thank you for that. This motion is to recommend it to go on the warrant. Ultimately, the people at town meeting get to decide. Thank you for that, that is very key. We don't have the power to grant this. This is just a recommendation. And on the floor, they can amend it to whatever they want. So I made that motion, do I have a second?
One second.
Any discussion?
So I think they're gonna lose 600 on the LND. So that would be a net loss of 100. And I'd like to motion that we increase the total disabled veterans credit to 4,000 for this year. And explore going to 5,027.
Okay, so we have so just to be clear, they currently get $2,500. If we keep it at $2,500, they're not losing anything, because it's gonna stay at their current amount.
So that RSA 72 semicolon 11 dropped the LND down by 600. So if we increase from 2,000 to 2,500, we're still gonna have a net loss of 100, notwithstanding my motion to increase it to 4,000, because we're talking permanently disabled. Not just missing one leg.
Right.
Both. Permanently, totally disabled.
Well, that's not entirely true. I talked to the assessor. You would think disabled, someone's walking in on a walker wheel. Not true. People walk in on their own two legs and they're deemed disabled. And I'm not taking nothing away from their classification of disability, but it's not a quadriplegic as you're doing. I talked to the assessor and I went down, and so just for the record, so we currently give about 5% of our total tax base to tax credits and exemptions. It's a huge number. None of these things are required for municipal operations. They're all, I'm going to call them political give-me's. They're politics. That's what they are. I give into veterans organizations, wounded warriors, disabled American veterans, my whole life. Without veterans, you wouldn't be sitting there to have this free and open conversation. But anytime money is given to some person or group, it has to be taken from some other person or group. And although veterans are priceless. My motion's 2,500, so if you wanna vote it down, we'll have to. Increasing it above that, I think, is putting the burden on people that can't necessarily afford their tax. People now can't pay their taxes. This is just gonna cause someone now who can't pay to have to pay more. That's all this is doing. It's just shifting the burden. It's not coming out of a secret pot of money that we have stashed away. Someone's paying for it. So anyway, my motion stands. Any more discussion?
We have a number of how many people would be eligible for this credit within our town.
I forget.
Yeah, I don't remember, but do you remember, Brian?
So Londonderry had 70 totally permanently disabled, and based on those numbers, we would have somewhere around 11.
I think it's more than that. I talked to the assessor.
So disabled and permanently disabled are
Yeah.
two separate
Yeah.
things, so my motion is to increase permanently totally disabled to 4,000.
Well, we have to vote on my motion first, and then you can make your motion, that's fine. And ultimately, the people decide anyway.
Right.
So, all those in favor?
I didn't second it.
No, somebody seconded.
I thought you did.
You
Yeah,
seconded, yeah,
you
you seconded it for
To get it to
discussion.
discussion. John's.
Oh,
But now you can
I'm
vote
sorry.
against it.
Yeah, now you can vote again, so we had a discussion. So all those in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Opposed.
Vote.
I feel like we don't have enough information here. I need to know an exact number of how many people we're talking about.
Yeah.
And how do we vote on this without knowing that information?
Well, I just said it.
I'm cognizant of what you're saying as far as this will
Yeah.
increase the tax burden on other people.
Yeah.
But I also think veterans deserve more than 2,500.
Yeah.
So
I
it's,
get it.
is there a way we could table this vote till the next meeting when we get some more exact information on who would be eligible for this?
We
I
got
feel like we're
time.
going off kind of, without all the info here.
Well, I sent you guys what I got from Jessie. She said there's 32 folks receiving this credit right now. That was from the assessing department.
So 32 at 4,000 will be 120,000, which would be probably 1.5% increase in your tax rate.
But your opinion was she's not talking specifically about totally disabled,
Correct.
which
You have
is
to have a letter from the VA and the DOD
Right.
showing that you're missing either both arms, both eyes.
That's probably an
both
accurate
legs.
number. 32.
that's
Well, I think if you're going from 2,500 to 4,000, it would be 1,500 times 11. So we're not talking anything more than 15,000.
But you just said it was 32.
well, that's what Jessie said in that email chain. But
Either way, it's not our decision anyway, it's gonna be town's meeting's decision,
Right.
But
so we
you-
don't need to waste too much time on
you,
this.
Brian, you referenced an RSA that I don't think is the one that I put in front of you guys
No.
based on the.
This is RSA 7235, 7227A.
1A.
Did I print the actual RSA on the? So the standard veterans credit is 7228.
I'd be in
Yeah.
favor of.
What was that?
If it was $16,100, 11 people,
Yeah.
that would make a lot more sense to me than
I think
32.
The reason why I'm not going to 5,000 is this gives us an exploratory year to see if it's really 15,000,
Yeah.
which is what I believe
Right.
it is.
And don't these veterans have to come in and specifically request this as well?
Yeah, no, yeah, it's like any tax credit, you have to request it, fill out a form, you have to justify it, prove it, yeah, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
All right, so, let's just get rid of my motion, then you can make your motion, and we can move on for the sake of time. So, we made the motion, you didn't vote, you abstained? You can abstain.
No, I'm gonna say no.
Okay, so the motion dies, so you have a motion?
How it's dead, I guess we'll table it.
Oh, so you want to table?
Further investigation.
Okay, so we'll table
We'll
it.
bring it up.
Is there a need to do it this
No.
meeting?
No.
We
you
have
got
till
time.
February.
You got plenty of time. So we'll table it, okay, no problem.
Just needs some clarification on the numbers.
And again, town meeting decides anyway, so it doesn't matter what we even put on the
But I mean,
warrant.
it's our responsibility to
Yes.
make a good recommendation on good information.
Yep. All right, let's see here. Oh, so let's hit on this. So I know we're getting ready to send out our second half funding for outside agencies. One of them is Way Station. And the town meeting last year gave them $10,000, which I objected to, and probably almost, I think it passed by about 9 votes, to give them the $10,000. Matt asked, or I think you may have sent a request to Matt, and they kicked it back, asking to justify what they're doing with the $10,000. Basically, they're handing out gas cards, laundry cards, sleeping bags, tents. They haven't worked with the police chief, as I think Selectman Keys requested that they do. In my opinion, using $10,000 to hand out sleeping bags, tents, gas cards, and laundry cards is a terrible use of taxpayer money. We give $150,000 a year to welfare. We have a welfare department. They can, if you're homeless, you can come in and utilize the welfare department. You can go to the $150,000 of outside agencies to get assistance. This is just not a good accountability of taxpayer money, handing it out in this fashion. If you have a car, it means you probably can get a job and you can work and push through it that way. We shouldn't be giving out money in this fashion. It's irresponsible and it's not fair to the taxpayers. That being said, the second half payment going out would be $5,000. I would make a motion to vote to withhold the $5,000 from going to Way Station and for the second half payment. And within that same motion, they haven't come in for an outside agency application so far yet this year. They missed the deadline. So that was my motion. Motion dead? Motion's dead. Any other discussion on it, or you want to just leave it?
No, I just wanted to say they voted to have 10,000 on the floor, and I feel more comfortable leaving it after talking with the chief and talking with Joy Gagnon and the director. I failed to remember her name, Rebecca.
That's fine, that's fine, that's, okay, so we're gonna move on from that. Other thing I have on my list, obviously you guys got a note from Matt from the state. This is regarding Constitution Park and the boardwalk. The ADA coordinator upheld the position that it has to be ADA compliant. Obviously you guys saw that email. And I just want to ask for an update. Can I ask for an update? Do you guys know where you are with that down there? With anything going on with the wetlands, filling them in? Have you talked to Senator McConkey regarding where we're at?
Well, that's a lot of questions. I guess first of all, I received a copy of that email as well, and my understanding is that the person did not come out to meet with us to look at the project. She based it solely on the video of the meeting we had there. That's not what I thought had been agreed to.
Right, we asked for a meeting.
Yeah, so just let me add more context. And I thought, so Matt did send a couple of requests out, and she finally got back. I thought they were CC'd on that email.
We were,
so,
that's
yeah.
what I just said.
Oh, I missed that. I didn't hear it. Right, so they didn't come out. They watched the video, and that's what they did. I did a great job videotaping. It was pretty clear. So I'm not sure what we can do.
Well, I think it's more clear when you're at the project and you understand how far away the platform is from the handicap parking, for instance. It's not a building. It's not an egress in and out of a municipal building. We're not going to agree with all that, okay?
We're not going to hold on.
Okay.
We're not going to relitigate the requirements. We know what's required. I'm just asking if you had any status update with Senator McConkey.
Okay, well,
on the wetlands.
yes. Well, I believe you do too. Have you not talked to him?
He gave us a brief. I had to do an inspection for him. And he gave
A couple business days ago.
Yeah, it was last week. He gave us a quick, he's working on it, but I don't know if you had more status update.
He just
on
said
it.
the environmental scientist came and that the boardwalk is fine, that it's absolutely within all the codes and
No.
it should be fine.
We're talking about the ability to fill it in to meet
The
building
boardwalk.
code requirements.
He
Have you
said
heard
nothing
anything
about
on it?
filling it in at all.
What was that?
He said nothing about filling it in.
Okay, because then,
But I guess you need to hear directly from him.
well, we did, and that,
He was sending the soil scientists
Yeah, he was sending the
out
soil-
to make sure that we could use
so that we,
boxes,
so that we can fill it in for
Oh, okay,
that.
well then you know more than we do.
That's what okay, I'm sorry I
Yeah.
asked, thank you.
Well, my understanding is that there's a letter forthcoming that is going to talk about all this. Is that correct?
I don't know. I mean,
That was my understanding.
Yes, that was the discussion I had with Mark, was that
Okay,
the
so that
fellow
we
that
didn't- we
he
didn't know
hired
that.
is going to be sending you a letter, so.
Right, yes.
Okay.
We
So
did
Matt does know
yes.
that, so.
okay, you got that. Okay, so we're getting a letter from him?
That's what Mark said when, the same conversation, is all part of that
Okay,
conversation.
all right, so when we get that letter, we'll see what we gotta do to get it up, so we don't have to put the handrails, and then we'll have to figure out the ADA part with the grippable handrails with the returns. So, because that is a requirement, so. Okay. All right, let's see. I think that's all. Oh, I have this. So this is health officer deputy nomination form. Mine's gonna expire December 8th of this year.
Yeah.
So I am the deputy, Matt is the full health officer. If the board wishes to nominate me part-time for another term, there's no compensation, it's part of our routine duties, there's no extra pay, there's no extra, it's just part of, when we get complaints, we can investigate health complaints.
It goes hand in hand with building and
Right,
zoning.
it goes hand in hand with building and zoning, and Matt is the town administrator. So I'll motion to approve code enforcement building inspector as the deputy health officer for another term.
Sorry.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
One of you guys can do it, but then you have to come in and deal with health complaints. So, there you go, that's one, I think that's the last document. All right. Anything else you guys got? You got something, TJ?
So I got something good. About 3-4 months ago, Sean Berry, which is our heavy equipment operator down back, came up to me and showed big interest in updating and fixing the dugouts at Constitution Park. I started out by looking into it and seeing what we could do. We don't have the money to do it, but I called, first call I made was to Coleman Concrete. They immediately donated the concrete. Sean Berry, Justin Eldridge, and Chris Vittum both went over, formed them up, poured the concrete. Sean worked tirelessly, to get donations to build these dugouts. We ended up working with New England Lumber and Stone. They donated all the building materials to frame the dugouts. We also worked with Fireside Lumber, which come in, donated the shingles, and actually shingled it. But the biggest thing that I want to talk about is not just Sean, but Justin and Chris. I don't think you're going to find it in a lot of towns. They did this on their own time. They did this on their holiday. They did this on the weekends. And I just want to show they built 2 dugouts on their own time for the kids. They're much larger. They're going to hold more kids. They're safer. They're closed in, so the adults, I guess a big problem, I haven't got into that part yet, but the adults can talk through the fence, and the kids want to be alone in there so the coach can talk to them. This is gonna eliminate that, and I just want to give some recognition to those 3 guys, because most people go to work after 40 hours, or in their case 70, 80 hours when it's snowing, and they want to go home. Those guys did that on their own time. They do have kids that play, but not all of them. Chris doesn't, and the other 2 are going to not be doing it soon. But they want to give something back to the community, and I think all the businesses around here that we talked to wanted to do the same, and they pretty much built those by themselves on, like I said, holidays and weekends. And I think it's a pretty awesome thing, and I think they should be recognized for it. But these are the 2 dugouts. Anyone wants to go over and look at them, we are going to paint them. And probably we have someone that wants to donate to put a design on the back of them for the Wildcats. And I think it's a pretty big deal. They come out really good, and for employees to want to do that, they got to like where they work, and they obviously are some of the best employees you possibly could have. So I appreciate it.
Give you thanks on behalf of the board, TJ. They always do great work. Great. You got anything else, Matt?
No.
TJ?
Can I just ask a question?
Sure, go ahead.
TJ? Can you get me those names and I'll post that on the Friends of Constitution Park?
Yep.
I took a picture the other day, then
Yeah,
I was
they're-
gonna throw it up there and thank the people.
They're usually the 3 that are pretty avid in helping with
Yeah.
things at Constitution Park, and they've done really well over there. They've redone the field, and they do that all on their own time.
Right,
So.
but the businesses too.
Yes.
You
Yep.
donated that, I'll put it up there, and I'm wondering if maybe the town could do a sign with the businesses.
We already talked to them. Justin and I are gonna do signs for the backstop, so every time someone's playing, they know that they donated it. So.
Kyle, you got something?
I do. With the recent departure of Glenn Cordelli from this Carroll County 7th District seat, I know that seat represented Ossipee, Tuftonboro, and Wolfboro. Both of the other 2 towns, Tuftonboro and Wolfboro, both submitted for a special election to fill his seat. And I feel like it would be appropriate for us to send what's called a letter of embrace to say that we're also in favor of it to the executive council, so they don't think that Ossipee doesn't want to fill the seat and hold a special election. it sounds like with 2 out of the 3 towns already asking for it, that it's going to happen. We probably are going to have a special election. But I think it would be a nice thing for us to do to make sure we have, Ossipee has representation.
What'd
You
you call
know,
the letter, Kyle?
It's called a letter of embrace. So we would send from the selectmen saying, I'd like to make a motion that we send a letter of embrace saying that we are in favor of holding a special election to fill that seat.
Second.
I just got a question. Is it gonna be on town meeting election day, or we have to hold a special election? Because that's where I have a problem.
The timing of, from what I understand, the timing of when Wolfboro and Tufton Borough submitted should make a election fall at the same time as town meeting, which would mean that we would not have extra cost for holding an election. If there's a primary, so if multiple people run for one of those positions from either Republican or Democratic side, that we could need to do a primary election, which would have us have extra cost. But at this point, it's already going to happen because these 2 other towns have submitted for it already. We did not submit for it here in Ossipee. So I think the letter of embrace is more symbolic than anything else, but it tells the executive council that we want to make sure that position is filled as well as a
Right.
town.
Yeah, so it's happening regardless of whether or
Right.
not we send it.
I don't think this vote has any bearing on cost because it's going to happen either way, and we have no control over whether or not there's a primary.
Right.
I wish there wasn't, because of the cost associated with holding another election and the amount of hours that people have to work in
Right.
town to run an election. But it sounds like it's already moving forward.
Right. So I just want to clarify, so I know you said so Ossipee has representation. They are represented by myself for Ossipee.
Well, additional representation
Right.
in the 7th district.
Yes, in the floater, which is just to fill up the excess beyond the 3,300 constitutionally required representative, per representative based on population. So Katie Pettinell and John McDonald represent Wolfboro and Tufton Borough, and I do Ossipee. So Glenn, well, Rep. Cordelli did the 3 towns like you stated, so it's, yeah. I mean, at this point, it's ceremonial, because again, it's already been decided, so I don't have an objection, or really, yeah, so. All those in favor?
Aye.
It's done. It's already happening. If it wasn't gonna happen, I probably would have objected to it, only because I'm afraid of the cost.
I get it.
Yeah,
I was too.
yeah,
One more thing as well.
yep.
I've heard that in some years, because we do a 2-year transfer station pass for folks, like right now it's $20 for 2 years, or sorry, $40 for 2 years, that sometimes at this time of year, we'll look at doing a discounted one from
20.
January on.
Yep.
Is that something we want to talk about?
Those guys usually do it. When it gets to January 1st, they'll do
I'm
it.
talking to Bonnie Ames, she mentioned it
Yeah,
might need to come
she
from us.
usually calls me and then I'll tell her to do it right around January, so that's coming.
It helps with the folks that are working over there, from what
Yeah.
I've heard, for people,
Yep.
feel like they're at least, not
Yeah.
overspending $40 for 2 years when they're only getting 1 year of use.
Yeah, it's coming. It'll be in the next month, so.
Okay.
But yeah, we do that every year. It was 20, it went down to 10. And
Yeah, and just so we're on the train, I know I beat this up before, but that transfer station is subsidized by about 50% of it by general taxation. I would love to see at some point grow the revenue, i.e. users pay for it, to offset the burden to the general taxpayer. I mean, I think that needs to happen, but we've increased rates a couple of times already, and I think it should happen again in the future, but
It sounded like, with the research that Mr. Marion did, that potentially there is some room to go up on the construction debris there, potentially, but.
yeah, before I went up on anything, I'd cover it.
yeah.
You've seen that yourself.
Yeah, he mentioned on the back, that was one of the
Yeah.
things. So how would that work, just out of curiosity? Like, how do you?
A pole shed that's
Yeah.
covered.
Okay.
Bars to go through. You're gonna have to make them real tall because we do accept trailers,
Mm-hmm.
and you've seen that. But I don't know if those guys have told you, a mattress doubles
Yeah.
when
Right.
it gets wet.
Well,
So
there's a lot of precipitation,
Yeah.
it weighs it down.
keep the snow out of them. I've spent hours and hours seeing how we can decrease costs over there, and that's the biggest thing is covering those.
Should we look into what it would cost to do that?
We were gonna do that last year, and then we got hit with all those deficiencies from DES that
Yep.
still have to fix, but there's gonna be bars across there. And it's kind of a nightmare getting those containers in and out, that's what we need to figure out.
Yeah, we don't know if it's necessarily the best spot to keep the C and D, to put
That's
that
what we've been
giant, that
thinking of.
structure's gonna be once and done, keeping it there, so it's gonna take more
As you've
thought.
seen how the containers come out, they get pulled out horizontally, whatever, which
Right.
way, and we get, if there's a post there, that's gonna,
Makes it
we
difficult.
don't have a loader over there, so the backhoe moves them it's pretty aggressive, so it's not like with a loader, you can move them around pretty good, but.
What about something like post on one side closest to where they're dumped, and then some kind of truss going up to hold it out without having poles on the other side?
That's what we were gonna do, is a one-sided post, but you still got them posts on the side the dumpsters are on. We did have a contractor look at it, and the other thing is, when you put a building up that high with no sheathing, you gotta make sure it's anchored in too. And you don't dig far there before you're in the water,
It will
so.
fall over.
We've just thought about that, we try to think about everything right there, but we've also thought about moving it. We just gotta get a year, we have the money to do it and kind of move them. So they can go in and out more vertically in, instead of having to bring them all the way, all 7 of them,
Right.
so. But it's definitely something we should look at.
Yeah, I've heard you talk
We've
about
talked
the
about it for
weight,
years.
you know, in the
I
past.
talked to him about it. He's gonna be in a tour on Friday of the facility, so.
Anything else, Con?
No.
Brian?
I just had a question about
Sure.
why there was an urgent, sudden reason that we dismantled Main Street.
Because we got the court order that said we could.
So the first I heard of it was a member of the public drove by and said they were dismantling it. And like an hour later, I got a picture from Matt, but I understand that the highway crew came in, like got called in off vacation to come in and dismantle it. Like I feel like as a selectman, I would know that, because we're dealing with a labor organization. And I don't know what world we're in.
Two of them did, but they were,
What world?
they weren't really called in.
I
They
wasn't
got,
done talking to you.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know what world we're in, where we have an organized labor, a labor organization that's on vacation and gets called back, and I don't know about it. I can't speak for Kyle. I mean, it wasn't, I'm guessing you didn't wake up that morning and say, it's time to dismantle it. I'm guessing it came from you, John.
I don't think,
I'm curious as to
I don't
the-
think anyone ordered anybody in. I think it was a free and open exchange of employees coming in to do work.
So it could have happened this week when they were all back from vacation. It's
I-
just
I-
opening us up to not only an unfair labor practice, but clearly a winnable grievance.
I think TJ does an incredible job with his employees, and I don't think there is such a thing as that going on. Am I wrong, TJ?
they just asked them if they wanted to come in, and they wanted to come in.
They
So
willingly
they-
came in. It wouldn't be an unfair labor
But it
practice.
seemed
Someone
like a
willingly comes in.
5-alarm fire to get it down on this one day 2 weeks ago, and I didn't know anything about it. Did you know about it?
We weren't sure it was gonna come together. It was a huge question mark between the labor and the dumpsters, so, it started getting put together like 24 hours before, and wasn't sure that it would happen, so.
I think moving forward, I would like to have that communicated. I feel like as a selectman, it's not unreasonable for me to get a phone call.
Well, I think
From you to
Matt,
Matt
to Matt's defense, we really didn't know almost till that morning, even if the dumpsters were coming.
Yeah, I'm not
So
talking about
I think he
TJ.
did contact you basically when it was in motion.
I'm not talking about Matt or TJ, I'm talking about you letting us know.
I don't run day-to-day operations. Matt and TJ both run day-to-day operations.
So they decided to do it on a zero?
No, I think-
I was very motivated, I'll be honest, yeah.
Yeah,
I've been working on this legal battle for a better part of 2 years.
Yeah, I think
Pretty excited
you were
about it.
part of this. We had a special town meeting. You were well privy of all these salacious court filings going all along. And you knew well that this building was coming down. There was no doubt about it.
Absolutely, and I voted in favor of it. What I'm getting at is why it had to happen when there was highway crew members on vacation. And
I
two of
think-
them had to come back.
I think
Why couldn't
TJ
you wait till this week?
Well, I think.
I actually was on vacation.
Yeah, TJ didn't have any issue with, there was no order. It was a willing, do you want to come in to do the
I got
the
told to
project?
ask them if they'd come in, and they come in.
If they couldn't come in, they wouldn't have come in.
I think to Brian's point, my point of view would be just communication. The first, we heard about it was, video of a roof being peeled. So, I mean, and I knew that it was going to happen at some point, just didn't know it was happening so imminently. And there has been some controversy in the community about this particular situation. So it's one of those things where you don't want to be blindsided on something like that.
Yeah, I just want to be able to give an answer if I'm asked by a constituent as to why, from my perspective, it's a very good question. Like, what's the urgency? To the point where we're having people coming off duty on vacation to pay them overtime in the face of all the legal fees we paid to get this.
Probably just should continue in a non-public under legal
Yeah.
if we're gonna do that.
I think so.
But
Yeah.
So I'm gonna,
Assume it'd be public.
well, there's a legal aspect to it, Brian. I'm gonna open the second public input before I go into a non-public for personnel. Go ahead, Ed.
I got 3 questions.
Sure.
First, how many voters or residents are in the Center Ossipee Fire District? Trouble narrowing that down.
I thought I looked that up. 1,200, is it possible? 1,200? 1,600?
Okay.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Is that about right?
It's gonna be, it's probably a little bit more than a third of the 4,000 plus,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
The density's higher though, because of the village district.
Right.
My question 2 is, does the Center Ossipee Fire Department, like the other districts, have their annual audit, independent annual financial audit? I'm having trouble getting that answer from the Budget Committee. It was clear the other ones did, but not Center Ossipee, and I'm confused on who's doing it, who's responsible.
My understanding, I can answer that from being on the budget committee, is Center Ossipee they don't do a third-party audit, they do an in-house audit amongst themselves, where West Ossipee and Ossipee Corner hires a third-party audit firm. I think at about $7,000 per year is last I knew. So they do it in-house. I don't know if Sue Doyle, she's here, if you want to answer it, you don't have to, that's going to be for Ed's question.
Well, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because after reading the law, it's my belief that, with the amount of money that the Center Ossipee budget is, that the law doesn't really say you can do that internally. It says an independent third-party audit. If you're talking about anything below 50,000 or maybe at 50,000, you don't have to. You can do an internal audit. Like some towns don't have to do an audit if they have under 700 people.
Mhm.
So I don't know if it's being followed right.
Ed?
I don't know if we're just in a
And
habit.
on Wednesday, like last Wednesday, was the budget meeting, and Joe Deegan has all that information, including the RSA that states about the internal audit, and I believe all precincts are bringing in their audits. So on Wednesday, during the budget meeting, you may ask the commissioner that question. I'm
Well,
sure
I'll
I'll have
bring-
the answer.
Yes, I'll bring the
Because he
RSA.
does have the RSA that states about it, and then we also will have our audit too.
Internally.
Yes, correct.
Okay. My third question.
Sure.
It's in reference to nonprofits. At the Budget Committee also, I noticed that nonprofits supply and everything else. I'm trying to narrow down, is the state process being followed with these applications? Meaning, it's who's checking, because I asked the Budget Committee this and they didn't think it was their responsibility. Who checks to make sure that they're registered with the state? If they're if they have a revenue of above 500,000, they're supposed to have an annual audit. If it's below that, they don't need to, but they have to still give you certain things. Who's responsible for checking that? Because you're talking about nonprofits, and you just mentioned before about the way station. Do they give you all their proper forms that they need to do to appropriate that funds?
So Way Station didn't even submit, they just came in through petition last year, through town meeting, they didn't even go through the budget process. That was one of the reasons I opposed it, plus for all the reasons I've already stated. As far as submitting, our outside agency packet is a town document, they submit within that whether or not they are compliant with state law. We're not required to verify if they're compliant with state law.
Okay, well, this comment right now is just my personal
Okay.
opinion. I would think that with the amount of money you're giving out to nonprofits, there should be a policy. And I went through this with the county, because they also just simply have a list of applications, and I asked who checked it, and the executive director goes and gives me the pile of the applications. So they apparently don't have a policy to make sure the state law is followed, to make sure you don't get in the same situation you had with Agape Ministries. I mean, if they're a good nonprofit, they need to still follow the law.
Well, we had that with the Main Street program, which, when they got their funding through town meeting, the select board revoked it for that very reason, because they weren't compliant with state law. So,
And I still think that even though the town votes to give somebody money,
right.
I don't think that negates the fact that the state law still has to be followed. You can't just give money to just whoever you want. There's a check and balance there, so you're not giving money away to special interests. That selectmen just may
Yep.
want to do that.
I agree with you.
Thank you for your,
Thank you.
thanks
Go
for.
go ahead, Edwina.
If I could just answer,
Sure.
Sue, you might chime in too, but this was brought up at the budget meeting, and thank you for that.
We were asking for audits from each
Yes,
nonprofit.
right, we actually voted to ask, it hasn't come to you yet because the minutes haven't been approved, I guess, but to ask the selectmen to create a policy that when nonprofits submit a request, even if it's this warrant request, that there be a policy that there is an outside audit that is part of that paperwork. So that when it comes through you, we sure know that it's already got that audit.
Right.
And then we would check it too, because we get all the paperwork back.
Yeah, we can do that, I'm on.
Well, right, so we thought it needed to start with you guys, you know, and then come to us, so.
We can put that as part of our application
It was
process.
discussed, and the budget committee does think it's very important.
Seems like a pretty common sense due diligence step.
And the county gives away over I think the applications were 700,000 this year. So it's like, you're giving that much money of my money away, and you're not at least making sure they're following the state law?
Yeah.
That's supposed to check and balance to make sure that it's on the up and up. Just didn't like that.
Well, that's, we were to explain it, just what Edwina said, like, every year it comes out, people will start saying, well, the time frame. I know Matt will send out notices, they have to submit applications, then they have set times that they come for their interview. It's kind of like an interview, or, to present what they have to do. They present to the selectmen, they present to us, and then we give the recommendation to the town. What the town decides to do afterwards, I mean, we're just not having people walk through the door and taking things. Everything has to go through, it has to be in by a certain date. That's why Main Street didn't make it that year. There's set rules, and I think by having the budget committee and these checks and balances, that we do a pretty good job here in Ossipee.
Go ahead, Ed.
Well, Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
again, speaking about the budget committee, not every member, but when I asked the question, several members gave and you can watch the video, make your decision yourself, gave me the impression they didn't think it was their responsibility, and that they didn't care about that stuff. That wasn't their responsibility at the budget committee, and I didn't think that was due diligence when you're talking about and how much money do nonprofits get from this town?
150, 160 roughly, I think.
Closer to 2 with schools
Well,
out.
closer to 2 when school's out submits their warrant article, because they come in.
That's all the nonprofits together.
Yeah. But yeah, that's not technically correct, because the budget ultimately is the budget committee's budget. It's on the MS 737, it is the budget committee's budget. We make a recommendation, they then review it, approve it, send it to the to town meeting. So technically it is the budget committee's budget.
Let's clarify on last year with using Way Station as an example. Way Station, how did they request that $10,000 in funding?
Petition warrant article.
Okay.
They didn't come through the budget process.
Like Schools Out does each year as well?
Right. Schools Out, yeah, Schools Out traditionally came through this budget process, but due to political reasons, they decided to circumvent that and go through the petition process.
With my memories,
Sure.
I remember last year, it was at 10,000, and we had recommended dropping 8,000 down, so it was at 2,000, and on the floor, they ended up moving 8,000 in, so they got their 10,000 in total. But we had knocked it down to 2,000.
No, it got approved for 10. It came in by petition, you gonna double check on that?
Because I gave the
Wait,
paperwork to
yeah.
Laura, because that was.
Either way, it doesn't matter, they got 10,000.
But
through
the
process.
town was the one that wanted the 8,000 to go back in.
So if we had a policy, my question and my point is, if there's a policy that covers people that are going through the budget process with all the deadlines and paperwork that's required there, and we are vetting that they're in good standing with their nonprofit status, and et cetera, should we also include in that said policy something about petition warrant articles ones as well? So, because we know that we're likely to get
Well,
some that way as well.
you have a
requesting
right,
money.
you can, but it's not binding. I mean, the selectmen control the warrant, but by petition it has to go on. They don't have to provide it, because ultimately they have to go to town meeting and convince the general public to vote
But
for
I
it.
say there's no mechanism when emotions involved at a town meeting setting to vet that information on the spot, so to speak, do you know what I mean?
Not really, town meeting's not the place to do that. I mean, it's there to really vote what's already been approved through the budget hearing process.
Even through a warrant petition article, though, there's still gonna be the application.
And
So-
no, they don't have to, it comes in by petition. Petition is just that. It's not an outside agency application, it comes in by petition. The selectmen are obligated by law to put that petition, as long as it's a lawful warrant article, to put it on.
Just to clarify, Way Station, it was in the operating budget last year, it was 2 years ago, they had first introduced themselves.
Oh, is that what it was?
Through a warrant article,
Okay.
which explains why we remember it
Okay.
always.
You could still add that, may I speak for a second?
Yeah.
You could add that to before the check goes out.
Right.
Even though the town voted, you still have to
Oh, the
send
selectmen
money.
have the final say to pay it or not, regardless. Someone comes in and does a petition warrant article to release 1,000 pink balloons on Easter, you don't have to fund it.
No, I'm saying that's when the policy could say you have to check to make sure that they're actually a valid nonprofit and they follow the law.
Right, but if it's by petition, you can't knock if it gets approved, you have to process it. You don't have to fund it, but you have to process it through the town meeting process.
You process the vote, but you
Correct.
still have to send a check.
Correct, that's what I said, yeah, the selectmen have the ultimate authority whether or not to fund it. Yeah.
Or to check to make sure that they're a
Correct.
valid nonprofit. And if it's not a valid nonprofit, or they don't have their audits and whatever the violation is,
Yeah.
then you can, vote to deny it on
Correct.
on those grounds.
That's correct.
So I'm just kind of trying to come up with a way that we can add that audit to the third-party funding. And I think that even on a warrant petition article, there's still paperwork that's filed here where we could include that.
But I can tell you right now, an organization like Way Station, they're not gonna do a third-party audit. They're so small, they're not gonna do it.
They don't need to, they don't have to.
But, right, so you would have to carefully word, Matt can work on a policy redraft and I bring it to another meeting, because we're not gonna hash this out right now.
Right.
And we have plenty of time to figure that out.
That's for next year,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
I think it's a good idea though.
Yeah, like,
Yep. Go ahead.
I
State your
don't know-
name for the record for,
It's Kate Alexander. So my understanding School South is a for-profit?
no, they're not a for-profit. They're just not a registered nonprofit.
And what?
And the reason why they do that is because they get in-kind financial assistance through the school district. If they were a nonprofit, they couldn't get busing, use of the facilities, et cetera. That's why they don't register as a nonprofit.
Right, they're an LLC, right?
Not to my knowledge, so it's a misconception
Right.
that you have to have a 501c3 to be nonprofits, there's all kinds of other 501s and whatnot.
I'm well aware.
So they're part of the school district, so for the same reason the town is a municipal corporation, is tax exempt with no 501c3, Governor Wentworth doesn't need a 501c3, they by definition are a municipal school. Schools Out is part of, they have to get their own funding, but the school is their fiscal agent.
Right.
Just like Carroll County Adult Education, for which I'm very familiar, they have to have a school be their fiscal agent, which makes them by default a nonprofit that doesn't have a 501c3. It's a nonprofit as a municipality, essentially.
Well, I looked them up at the Secretary of State, so maybe sometime, it was, how I read it, it didn't come off that way. So the way I read it, it was just a regular business in New Hampshire.
This chapter specifically here in Ossipee?
Yeah. So that's the way it looked to me when I read
Well,
it on
the
the...
school is their fiscal agent, which makes them a nonprofit for taxes.
They're just not a registered 501c3.
No, I'll just reread it and make sure, but it's just, it didn't read that way, that's all.
Okay, then.
See, about the Schools Out program, the school's the fiscal agent, and that's where that grant goes through. And their audits and their control is at the school.
Exactly.
So I didn't know that, I thought that it was just like a group of people you were just giving money to.
No.
I
Not at all.
researched it, and it was
Goes
because
through
it
the
goes
school.
through the school, so that's where they get the money.
That's,
And you're allowed by law to give money to a group if it has public interest, so they have all that straightened out. And my one last comment,
Sure.
which I'm gonna get in trouble for.
No, you get
How much money is the Center Ossipee budget? The Center Ossipee Fire Precinct
It's a
budget?
1,000,001, I think, I don't have
Yeah,
the top of my
1,000,001,
head.
yes.
Like 1,000,001?
Now, I just want you to roll this around in your head, everybody watching too. Are you comfortable with an internal audit when you're talking about that much money? And that's all I have to say.
I've asked it for several years about a third-party audit, but they don't, my reading into it was they weren't required to do it, like Susan's saying, they were following the law. But,
Well, okay, well, I'll
But we
have
were
to-
under 1,000,000 at that time, so.
I'll review the law, but
Yeah.
the way I read the law, it was way over the amount of money that they should have an independent
Yeah.
audit. And I'll bring that in on budget.
On Wednesday, that's good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Damon, you had your hand up?
Yep, thank you. Damon Stewart, the Sun again. How much does that TAM interest cost, do you think, roughly?
Roughly 13,000 if we borrow the full amount, per month.
13,000 per month?
Per month, and we're at the lower rate of 4.875, the tax-free, what, the tax-free rate?
Tax exempt.
Tax exempt rate,
Well, that's well over 100,000 in a year.
yeah. If you had to borrow,
It's a line of credit, so we would,
Yeah.
pay it back as soon as our tax revenue
Right.
started coming in.
Right.
So it wouldn't cost 100,000?
no, it's only until the tax revenue comes in, then the first thing you do is pay off.
So it could be a couple months or a month?
Could be hopefully it's just a month,
We-
maybe
we-
two.
We're asking for 30,000 in the 2026 operating budget, which would have been consistent with what we've asked for in the past couple of years.
So in Conway, we've actually gone from 5 precincts to 3
Yeah.
for the fire department. And what they did was, they got Conway Village to collapse into the town. So would the town even entertain, like, if, the precinct, some precinct of Ossipee didn't want to be a precinct anymore, would you guys be interested in absorbing a fire department?
I think it's automatic,
I
isn't
think
it?
it's the way, yeah, it's automatic. It's,
Right.
if they vote to dissolve, all their financial liabilities stay within that district until it's paid off, but they then become part of the town.
But would you think, I guess what I'm getting at is, do you think that would be a good idea?
I think long-term, yes, I think long-term, yeah.
And other precincts consolidated with each other that were contiguous, and I don't know if any of your precincts are contiguous.
Well, they
There's no
all
overlap.
touch.
There's no
Well,
overlap.
touch, but I guess you could have different combinations if one wanted to merge into the other.
They could vote and do that, forming a new village district, yeah.
And then, I guess the way station discussion kind of confused me. So that 10,000, was that approved by a warrant article or in the budget?
That came through petition, didn't it? And
No, so the first year, which would have been 2024, it came in by petition, but this is our 2025 town warrant, it was right in the operating budget. For 2,000, it got
then they
amended on the
increased to
floor to
10,000,
10.
that's what it was.
So, okay, so it was in the budget that, and voters approved it, and then, I think Selectman Smith wanted to withhold half of it, because you didn't like the way they did their paperwork at the time.
I don't think it's a good value for the taxpayer, yeah.
Okay. I guess also, the discussion of the Main Street building was interesting. And I think it was pretty well self-explanatory. I think everybody stated their case pretty well. I think it was kind of interesting, and Matt addressed this with me earlier, that apparently there were still, like, Lynn Smith cases out there in the world when the building came down. So, like, and she's going to try to, get these cases, just claim that, or maybe it sounded like she was trying to look into whether, the building came down prior to the court's final okays. I know Matt said you got the attorney to sign off on it, and your attorney gave you the blessing, but I was just wondering if there's any update on that aspect of the
Nope.
situation.
No update. Okay. No further public input?
I had something.
Okay, Dal.
Yeah, So I was a little disappointed that you're borrowing from the TAN note. I've been very impressed that you haven't had to do that, and I'm really surprised that you actually have to.
Were you here for the explanation on that, or did you come late?
Oh, no, I've been here the whole time.
Okay, I was
Yeah.
unsure.
Yeah, there's a few things I'm still trying to wrap my head around in this whole conversation. You know, I'm with Brian. He should have known that the building was coming down. I feel like, you know, there was some lack of communication there. You know, the TAN note is big for me. I don't, because normally when we were borrowing before from the TAN note, we weren't paying interest on it. So.
You were, it just was very low at that
Well, it was an
time.
interest-free loan because we didn't have as much money set aside. We weren't borrowing. We were borrowing all the time.
No
No,
such thing, man.
no, we always, the town always paid interest on the TAN note. At that time,
Well, it must have been very little.
the rates were a lot lower, 1, 2, 3%, when they were borrowing during
Yeah,
that
we
period
were
of
like-
10 years.
We were like, what, 7% of?
No, now we're 4.875, I think I read.
No, but I mean, that's what our saving rate was. We were at 7% for our
I don't know,
unassigned fund balance at the time.
No,
Now we're at like 11.
We're at
12.
11.
Right, and we're trying to get that up to 15.
I would love to go higher, but the only way you're gonna do that is not use any of it to offset taxes when you set the tax rate.
Right, and I understand that.
It's a balancing act.
Yeah, I had a few questions about all of the grants that the chief also got. Now, I couldn't understand any of them. You guys kind of flew through them and just okayed them. I didn't understand what any of them were.
They're all
So-
routine, they come every year, traffic safety grants,
Right.
DUI patrol, seatbelt
Yeah.
patrol, cell phone patrol, that's,
Yeah, it's just patrol grants,
Correct.
basically. So, okay, no figures
No.
on anything, just, we're
No.
gonna give you some money sometime.
$13,000 roughly, and
Yeah.
80% matching, you gotta give 20% on top of that.
No, okay, and the dump. Okay, I'm still all for the dump day. We should have a hazardous waste day. I've been saying that since you got rid of it. I realize you don't want to spend the $5,000 to $10,000 that it costs us. As far as the plastics and stuff like that, those end up in the ocean. Okay, we shipped them out. They all end up somewhere. They don't go where they're supposed to. And when we do keep them, they go into landfills. Yeah, that's no different than the building materials people are building with now that are all plastic. They do the same thing. Those just don't go into recycling anywhere. So, big waste of time, big waste of money on that. I still think we should try to figure out a way to get the hazardous waste day back. The reason the rates were so low at one point in this town is because people were throwing stuff everywhere. They were throwing it in the woods everywhere you went. Tires, batteries, you know, whatever it is. Just getting, and people wanted it to stop. Figured by lowering the rates at the transfer station or at the incinerator at the time, you know, that it would bring people in. We keep raising the rates. He wants to raise the rates on the scale. Well, the scale's already, what, 11 cents now? They want to raise it a couple cents more. Well, that just incentivizes people to go somewhere else. Or, hey, I don't want to take this here. I want it down the road. See ya. I don't think we're going in the right direction. I know we subsidize it. I think we pay a lot. It's what, over 600,000? That's a lot of money for subsidizing. So, and believe me, I know that they do a good job at the dump transfer facility. So, I know that a while back I made suggestions about maybe not setting up the way it was, and now we got it. You know, so here it is coming up again. Hey, we need to set it up differently. So just little things I've been observing through this whole thing. As far as the election, I believe the county said that it's not a special election, that it's going to be, you're going to have to run for the seat. So I don't believe that's gonna be a special election. It might not. It might.
Well, it's an off-season election, because
That's
the
what
normal
makes it
election is
special.
November. So it's special, meaning it's gonna be before November.
Yeah, so.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay.
Just off schedule, off the normal election schedule.
The
Okay.
question was, what is it gonna occur on town election to save on the cost of holding the election?
Well, my hope is that it does, and I'm not sure why, other than somebody requested it not be appointed. They could have just appointed it. And I'm just going through my head. I probably am not getting all of my questions, but there's a few things here I observed.
Okay.
I don't ever see anything happening with the fire departments because they all like to have their own thing going on. It's going to be an awful big push to get that to happen. Even though I'm agreeing with you, it should happen.
Okay. Thank you, Dallas. Okay, seeing no, okay, so that's right. you
I
did
had
have
an
that.
original question.
Yeah, sorry.
And because of the bill
Yep,
for the water and hydrants, whatever, I pay the bills. And I had a question about the bill. And then what happened was, for some reason, the next statement came in, because, you know, we have to have everything voted by the commissioners before
Right.
and they sign. The second one came in and they had added the hydrants onto the water bill and was this, and I said, I didn't understand that. So I called up TJ and asked TJ to come down and I said, I don't understand this bill at all. You know, I don't get water sewage bills at my house, you know, so I'm like, I don't understand why the hydrants and everything got added on. I thought it was a mistake.
yep.
So he explained to me that, you know, that everything was correct. So we went down and we saw Kelly, Joe Deegan and I, and I told her it was my error. And I know when I spoke to you about our financial director, you said everybody was always entitled to one mistake. You said that to me.
More than one.
You said that to me, yes.
No, but I think
so
everyone
this
can get
is
more
my
than
one mistake that I did, and I would like to call that
Well,
trump
You can have
card.
another one.
No, I want to call it trump card, not to pay that bill.
Point of
That was
information, this is
correct.
over $30 we're talking about?
Yeah, $30. That's how good I am on keeping things correct.
Well, thank you for
That's
the
what I was thinking.
clarification.
So I would just like to ask if you could withdraw your vote on saying that, you know, that I didn't get the deal.
Sure you don't want to save that from a bigger mistake?
Bigger mistake. Well, I'm hoping there's no bigger mistakes. I mean, you know.
Just kidding.
So that's what I'm going with. I'm using that trump card.
I get it, but I just said, we get these all the time from customers.
I know you do, but we
So
pay
it's-
our bill
I
on
know.
time all the
It's just,
time.
it's the principle and the precedent of it, that's all. But thank you.
Okay.
It's only
We don't want the
$30.
air of
It's okay.
special treatment because of the fire precinct versus
Oh,
somebody
well, we
else.
talked about special treatment, right, Brian? At the supermarket, remember? Yeah.
Okay, no further public input? I'm gonna make a motion to go into non-public under RSA 91A32A for session 1, and RSA 91A32E for session 2. Do I have a second?
I don't know what that was.
One's personnel, one's legal. Okay.
Second.
Second? Roll call, Brian?
Yes.
Kyle?
Yes.
Yes.
5 o'clock.
You get that info about the dugout, we'll share it.
Oh, we're at the supermarket.
Ready? Okay, a motion to reopen the public meeting?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
A motion to seal the non-public minutes from session 1 and session 2. Do I have a second?
Sure, second.
All those in favor? Aye. I am going to adjourn to the next meeting.
Last time I did stick around here, I played it.
Extra exercise up and down those stairs.
See you guys.
I get plenty of exercise with
See ya.
this. I do want to steal one of the candies from you.
Go for it, matches refilling.
Do you?
Get every flavor choice there.
Green apple. Okay, well, you guys have a good night. and,
See you, gals. Thanks for coming.
When's the next meeting?
Probably 2 weeks. Stay tuned.
I will, I'll try to.
Have a good night, fellas.
See you.
Bye.
See you Wednesday, gals.
Yeah, I'll see you Wednesday.
Did you see all those minutes?
What? Yeah. Yep, no, I made a motion to seal non-public minutes session 1, session 2. Yep. I did roll call because I don't have